something to President Trump and he was going to hear you right now, what would it be?
You're a worthless pile of shit.
You voted for him how many times?
3 times. That was my bad. Apparently, I'm an idiot.
I voted for Trump 3 motherfucking times. I've taken so many fucking arrows for this dude. It's insane. And it's impossible to defend his position right now. You know, when he gets on TV and he says, someone says, hey, you know, are you worried about the economic impacts and the hardships that are happening with the working class person? And you say, no, all I'm worried about is Iran not having a nuclear weapon. Bro, you lose so many people every time you say that. And it's becoming more and more apparent and more clear that you have the interest of a fucking another country over the interest of the people that you were elected to serve.
I actually have panic attacks. I've had a couple this past week. And I get very emotional over it. I don't want to work anymore, but I can't afford to retire.
Obviously, President Trump is immensely wealthy, has been wealthy since he was born.
Yeah.
Do you think he understands?
No. No. He hasn't lived it to understand it. He sees it, he has not lived it. He needs to live it. Wear the clothes, wear the shoes, wear your Walmart clothes, wear your Walmart shoes. Do your thrift store shopping. Don't eat steaks. I don't get to go out to dinner. It's not an overnight thing, but it's been 2 years now. You said you'd bring down the grocery prices. Literally, I must be the most angry person when I grocery shop because I buy the same things every week and I see it jump every week. It is not every couple months. It's literally every week.
Our reporter Alex Abbott also spoke with another 3-time Trump voter, a man named Chris Tackett, a trucker from Ohio, who expressed deep frustration with Trump's broken promises.
When President Trump said he wasn't going to start foreign wars, when he said he was going to bring down prices, did you believe him?
Yeah. I mean, his first term, I think he held true to everything that he said he was going to do. I think he fought for everything he said he was going to fight for. This time around, I haven't seen it. He's backtracked on every single pitch point he had during his election. He's backtracking on. All we heard was drill during the election, and now all we're getting is drilled into the dirt with these prices. So I'm not a fan of him. I voted for Trump all 3 terms. To be honest with you, I'm not a big supporter of him at this point.
3-time Trump voter. I'm not a big supporter of him at this point, is what he had to say. Now, that Ohio voter also had another message for Trump.
If you could talk directly to President Trump, what would you tell him right now?
Get it together, man. The average American is struggling to make ends meet right now. And nobody wants to hear the war's almost over. Nobody wants to hear it's going to get better. You've had a year to make it better at this point. Make it better. Make America great again, right?
More than a year, to be exact. And there was also a one-time Trump voter who had a more explicit message for Trump, which I think kind of encapsulates the buyer's remorse we've been seeing lately on a number of issues.
If you could talk to President Trump directly right now, what would you tell him?
Should you want me to really say it on air? I say you. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to any leader, but he's disrespectful to us, and he doesn't care. So
he's disrespectful to us, and he doesn't care. That again, a guy who voted for Trump.
Yet we warned you and we told you that what Trump was telling you about tariffs is not true and that we, the American people, are the ones that end up paying those tariffs. But you didn't listen to us, but let's continue. These people only care because now his policies are directly affecting them and they don't like it. But let's see what else they have to say. I just want to remind you that he also promised that with one phone call, the Ukraine war would be over too. But, I digress. When you vote for a man who is found liable for assaulting women, this is what you get. When you vote for a man who has 34 felonies of fraud, this is what you get. When you vote for a man who spreads hate, divide, sexism, racism, homophobia, if you vote for a man with that kind of character, of course you're going to get swindled. Of course things are not going to work out your way. But you guys just thought that kind of stuff would only touch the people you don't like. He ran on hate. He won on hate. And now you're reaping the benefits of his hate. All my love.
It was overtime. My kids' daycare went up. Can't afford the cost of food. Using credit cards for everyday expenses. No money left after their bills are paid. Pretty much just a whole bunch of financial mess.
We changed presidents at the beginning of the year.
We did.
And the guy who moved into the White House said that he was going to fix it. Several times he said it would be easy.
Absolutely.
Has he fixed it?
Absolutely not. I'm definitely waiting for him to fix it.
Jones is a 3-time Trump voter, but she says he has simply failed to keep his promise to lower the cost of living.
I'm very let down by that. Very, very let down because I feel like it's only gotten worse.
Hello, welcome back. So, one of the most fascinating things happening in America right now is watching people vote emotionally against their own economic survival. Fast. Subscribe. Make this your channel. Moving on. So they are acting shocked when the consequences finally arrive. That contradiction is at the center of the entire conversation, because how do you support a billionaire politician who brags about wealth while you are struggling to pay rent? Make it make sense. How do you defend policies that send job overseas, then act surprised when your own job disappears? How do you defend policies that send job overseas, then act surprised when your own job disappears? And perhaps the biggest question of all, why do so many working class people consistently choose political identity and racial loyalty over actual policy outcomes? That is so uncomfortable. This conversation is very uncomfortable, and many Americans have finally started to have open conversations about it, because what we are witnessing is bigger than one election. Sad. It's about fear, identity, tribalism, and the power of political storytelling. And honestly, some people are beginning to realize they were sold an emotional fantasy while their real-life conditions quietly get worse. The woman at the center of these discussions represents something much larger happening across America. Here, you have somebody struggling economically, somebody dealing with financial pressure, yet still passionately supporting a billionaire politician whose lifestyle is absolutely nothing in common with ordinary working people. That alone should raise questions, but according to the critics, the support was never really about economic policy. In the first place, it was emotional, cultural, and racial. And that's where these conversations becomes uncomfortable for many white people, because a lot of political behavior is not driven by logic. It's driven by identity. People often vote based on who makes them feel emotionally validated, not necessarily who materially improves their lives. And politicians understand that very well. And that's why modern political movements spend enormous amounts of time creating enemies. Because fear is politically powerful, anger is politically powerful, scapegoating is also powerful. History has shown this repeatedly, and that's exactly why critics draw comparisons between modern political rhetoric and historical fascist movement. Now, because people get defensive, let's be clear, comparing political tactics doesn't mean saying history is repeating itself exactly the same way, but certain patterns absolutely exist. Historically, leaders like Hitler and Mussolini rose during periods of economic anxiety and social instability. People were frustrated, financially insecure, angry, and instead of directing that anger towards economic elites of systemic problems, politicians redirected the blame towards vulnerable groups, immigrants, minorities, and outsiders. And according to the critics, the same strategy is visible today. Instead of asking why billionaires keep accumulating wealth while ordinary workers struggle, People are encouraged to blame immigrants crossing the borders, including me. Anyway, instead of questioning corporations outsourcing jobs overseas, people were told their real enemy are poor migrants trying to survive. Think about how effective that distraction is politically. So, in this case, let's say a worker loses their factory jobs, but instead of becoming angry at the corporate greed or outsourcing decisions, they become angry at immigrants who never contributed the economy in the first place. That's emotional manipulation, and honestly, it works because fear overrides logic for many people. Now, another major point is the conversation involving slogan, "Make America Great Again, MAGA." So some are arguing that some supporters, this slogan is not really about economic greatness at all. It's all about cultural nostalgia, a longing for an older social hierarchy where certain groups are held unquestioned and they have dominance. That's why the conversation about demographic change creates so much anxiety in some political spaces, because underneath many debates about immigrations or taking the country back is often fear about changing racial power dynamics. Again, uncomfortable conversation, but necessary conversation. And the irony is painful because many working class supporters believe they are protecting themselves politically while the same economic system continues hurting them financially, and the jobs disappear, healthcare costs rise, housing becomes unaffordable, corporate profits explode. But instead of challenging concentrated wealth and corporations' power, political energy gets redirected into cultural welfare. And that redirection protects elites beautifully, because as long as ordinary people stay divided by race, identity, and fear, they are less unlikely to unite economically. That's the real game many critics believe is happening now. Personally, I think one of the saddest parts of the modern politics is how morality becomes negotiable. Once tribalism or the racism takes place, people start excusing behaviors they would normally condemn simply because their side is winning. Dishonesty gets excused, cruelty, corruption gets excused, and now political identity becomes more important than values. Society becomes deeply unstable because now truth itself becomes racist. Facts becomes optional. Everything becomes, it's my side benefits. If my side benefits, I'm gonna support it. That mentality is dangerous. Honestly, Michelle Obama's warnings that privilege will not protect people from harmful ideologies feels especially relevant here, because eventually policies affect everybody. Economic instability does not care who somebody voted for. Outsourcing does not care about political slogans. Corporate greed does not care about campaign hats. Eventually, reality arrives, and many people are now experiencing that reality firsthand. That woman in this story lost her job due to outsourcing under leadership she strongly supported. That irony is painful, but it's also revealing something important. Political branding is not the same thing as economic protection. Just because a politician speaks emotionally to people and dealing with people's fears does not mean they are materially improving their lives. And perhaps that's the deeper lesson here. Americans are increasingly becoming pushed into emotional political welfare, while economic power keeps concentrating at the top. So it is you to choose. Are you choosing political welfare over economic power? So that should concern everybody because divided populations are easier to manipulate. And when fear becomes the foundation of politics, rational conversations becomes almost impossible. And at the end of it, this conversation is not really about one woman or even one politician. It's about how fear, racial identity, tribalism can sometimes overpower logic, morality, and even self-interest. And honestly, that reality has shaped politics through history. The dangerous part is that many people do not realize they are being emotionally manipulated until the consequences hit them hard, until it affects their own daily lives. By then, the damage is often already done: lost jobs, economic instability, broken communities, division, and distrust. And the people at the top usually remain wealthy no matter who suffers underneath. And that is why this conversation matters so much, because if ordinary people continue blaming each other while ignoring concentrated wealth and systemic economic problems, the cycle will keep repeating itself. Do not vote emotionally. Just think through. Okay? Think, because we do not want to have just a cycle repeating itself, like different slogans, different elections, same outcome. And maybe that's the most important lesson here. A political movement built mainly on fear, scapegoating, and tribal identity and racial identity may create emotional satisfaction temporarily, and eventually the reality will come, and now you will face the music. Yeah, so that's the end of our video. Tell us or tell me what you think, yeah, in the comment sections, and remember to subscribe to this channel. I told you this is your channel, so subscribe. Yeah, thank you. Bye.